Welcome to Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music with your host, multi-award-winning music producer, Eddie Kilroy. And now, here's your host, Eddie Kilroy.
Hey, how are you? Glad you're with us today. What a show we're going to have. I still call it a show because it's a fun type deal. I could call it a podcast, but everybody else calls it a podcast. We'll call it a show. And I've got one heck of a guy. He's been with us before. And everybody responded so well to this particular person. I said, hey, I want to talk to him again. His name is Dale Sellers, one of the great guitar players, not only of Nashville, but all over the country. One of my favorites. Dale, how are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm dragging on, like normal.
Well, you've always been a rocker.
Yeah, well, I wish I was still a rocker, Eddie.
Well, you rock, man, wherever you are. I can still see you. We did a lot of sessions together, and you did a lot of things on those sessions to make me sound like a hero. But I'm getting off the subject. I wanted to tell you that you're like an old friend to me, as well as one of the great session players that helped me make some really good records. And we made some good ones, man. We really did. And I can see you coming into the studio, and you got that guitar, and then you got another guitar on the arm. You got your faithful telly, and you've got an acoustic, and you've got amplifiers, and you're just grinning, and you're ready to pick, man. You came to play.
Yeah, that's what I came there for.
I know. Hey, we were talking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Make music memories.
Music memories. They are the best. We were talking the other day about guitars, and Fender specifically. And you were telling me a story of a great buy that you missed on one, because people don't realize the value of some of these old Telecasters. I guess maybe it's some Strats too. I'm not sure, but the Tellies for sure. Yeah,
and all of them.
Yeah, and you were telling me that you missed a great buy on one. You don't have to tell me why, but I know we've all been there. So who cares?
Yeah, oh sure I did.
I know, but. Okay, you could have bought this guitar.
I could have bought the guitar. I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
There's a guy called me when I was living in Las Vegas, working for Wayne Newton. There's a guy in Oklahoma. He might have been around up there where you are. Mm-hmm. Said, this guy has got the very first left-handed Telecaster ever made. It was either a 52 or a 53. Wow. And he said he wanted $5,000 for it.
Yeah.
Well, you know how it goes. You're married to the wrong women, man. They'd be stealing your damn money. You ain't got nothing left.
I understand that for sure.
And I didn't get the guitar, but I finally, seen it pop up, certain time, and it wound up in North Carolina for $250,000.
Oh my God, that makes you sick.
Oh yeah, it did.
Wow.
For $5,000, I could have made some. Well, I wouldn't have made no money, Eddie, because I would play the guitar. But the thing is older guitars, you're gonna have to do something to them, and that would be value from the instrument.
Just like an old car.
You got to put new frets on it and all that stuff because they probably wore out.
Probably, yeah. And
there's two kinds of guitars. There's collectibles and playables.
Right.
And I don't want nothing but a playable guitar.
That reminds me of cars. You remember I bought a 57 Chevrolet. Remember that guitar?
That canary yellow job?
That was yellow with a black top. Darrell Waldrop's engine builder put the engine in there. And I bought it was a show car. That car had won every show that it had been entered in its class, and also won Best of Show, and then placed third in L.A. in the national show. Yeah. And I bought it to drive, Dale. I didn't know you couldn't drive a show car, and I had this guy working for me that would clean up the engine, polish it almost every other time I drove it because it had so much chrome under it. And I said, gosh, this isn't any fun. And another thing too, go to lunch in one of those cars and you drive around an hour looking for a parking place, afraid somebody's going to ding it. So the fun wore off, and I sold it to the lead singer with Journey. What's his name?
Steve Perry.
Steve Perry bought it. Bought it for what I paid for it. Larry London told me that he wanted that car. And that was a fun day to see that car get on that car hauler, enclosed, fancy deal, and go into California.
Yeah.
Well, I got over the fever. Back to guitars again. Dale, a lot of people don't know because they're used to maybe the guitar just to play in a club or bang around in the house or something. They don't know how expensive these collectibles can get. And
man, I'm telling you.
You just quoted one for $250,000.
Yeah.
What do you think the highest priced Fender sold for?
I have no idea, Eddie.
Well, more than $250 probably.
Well, that $250 was definitely out of my reach.
Mine too. Dale, you were what we call a first call player in Nashville, meaning that producers, perhaps even an artist that's going to do himself, has a list of their favorite players. And I said, first thing I'm going to do, I need a guitar. So on my call list here, up top is Dale Sellers. So let me see if Dale is available. You're not always available because you may be booked by another producer and be working for him and say, Kilroy, I'm sorry, but I'm already booked on that date. And I'd say, well, God, Dale, what's your next open date? I'll cancel the session and book the thing around your open dates. And I did a lot of times. If I didn't have you in the studio, I'd just wait till you were open, But you worked for many producers up there. I know you did some. You did some stuff for a producer that I really admire, and I didn't admire a lot of other producers. Okay, one that always I thought was not a good record producer, but a great one was Billy Sherrill.
Oh man, let me tell you, he was. I can tell you a couple of stories here.
Go ahead.
I used to do. Doodle Owens, the writer.
Yeah, sure.
I used to do his demos.
Right.
And I always had my ears out for something that I thought would be a good a song for a certain artist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I played on Yabba Dabba Doo. I did that demo, and I played on the record, the George Jones thing.
Sure.
And he did a song called I put a golden band on the right left hand this time.
Remember it well.
Well, I got that, man, and I told Billy about it. And so one day I was working with George Jones. We was cutting that. Billy come by and he put his hand on my shoulder and he leaned over. He said, I just want to thank you for sending me another one.
I don't blame him. Because the song, as an ex-record producer, which I don't produce records anymore because I don't understand the new country music, why go in there and mess up what they're doing with something great, which we would do. You have to adapt as a session player to different producers, because they want a certain deal, and you've worked for them before, and you know what they want, but you have to adapt from going to Kilroy over to a Billy Sherrill or to whomever you go to, because Billy and I did different records. We approached them differently. I'm not saying either one was bad, but how do you do that?
Well, it depends on the songs they got,
You bet.
That would a real good song dictates to you what to play if you listen to it.
You're right.
And a hit song is a tune that's about them. I sound like Elmer Fudd talking, man.
That's okay. He made a lot of shows with Mike Vickery. No, you're thinking about Pudrucker, okay.
Lord, don't get on him. A hit song has to be for them or about them or to them, them three elements right there. That's where your hit song comes from.
You bet.
And everybody, you have to relate. People will relate to a lyric in a song that they hear.
Yeah.
Let me see. I got some stuff here. I put out a note or two. Don Schlitz, don't you?
Oh, sure.
Oh, he wrote The Gambler and all that stuff.
Yeah, great writer.
He was a nice, humble guy.
He was.
So I remember one day, excuse me, I was doing a demo with him, and he brought this song out and played it. And the name of it was "Where Were You the Day the President Died?" Son, that took me back to the 11th grade when Kennedy got shot.
Yeah.
And I remembered, I said, boy, that one line will carry you back somewhere, bring up memory.
Sure.
And so I got that song, and I got a copy of it, and I was doing B.J. Thomas's records, played on his stuff, and I took it to Pete Drake, to pitch it to BJ. Well, now they passed on that, so they missed one, but I don't know whatever happened to that song.
Well, someday it may surface.
Well, and his other lines in songs that you never forget.
Yeah.
His old boy I did a demo with, he was from Arkansas. And he had this song, and he did it, and I'm thinking George Jones. Man, this would be perfect for him. But I remember, the only thing I remember about it was the last line in every chorus. She'll leave me in time. I know what she'll do, because she looks too good to be true.
Oh, yeah, that's a hook. Yeah.
That's a hook right there.
Oh, yeah. I do the same thing. I'll pick out a line in a song, and it'll kind of stay with me. Because, even after not producing records anymore, 4 decades is just about enough,
Yeah.
It's time to go away and leave it to the younger people. They know what they're doing. But I still listen to songs today. I was listening to a song by Luke, believe it or not, Lucas Nelson, Willie's boy.
Yeah, Willie's boy, yeah.
God, dog, I didn't have any idea that boy could sing that good.
He's a pretty good singer.
Yeah, he phrases kind of like his dad on the songs I heard. But he sings in tune, and he's got man, he was holding a note on this one song, Nothing Was Easier Than Loving You, I think was the name of the song, one of Willie's songs. I think Christopherson wrote it, but Willie did it. But at the end, remember the Gene Watson record, Farewell Party, where he held that note for so long, like for 30 minutes?
Yeah, I played on that record.
Oh, you did? Okay, well, you know how long he held that last note.
Oh, yeah, at the end of it?
Yeah, well, this lad did the same thing on Loving You Was the easiest thing I ever did. Yeah. Well, I said, man, but he's kind of sounds like Willie. I don't know whether that'll be a disadvantage to him or not.
I hate to see people copy other folks or try to sound like them, because as you remember, one time when somebody to have a certain field or record or something, and it'd be a hit. Well, everybody wanted to copy that.
I know that.
Why plow the same field twice?
I know. And you know what I was thinking also? There's guys like Ronnie Robbins, who never, ever tried to copy his dad, Marty. Yeah, he just sounded like him. He couldn't help
it. I played on some of Ronnie's stuff. I also did some of Marty's records.
Right. Didn't you think he just sounded like his dad? He didn't try to sound like him?
Yeah, sort of, from what I can remember.
Yeah, I thought so. Marty wanted me to do an album on Ronnie, and then Marty up and pulled that trick of dying. I had so many friends pull that trick on me.
He pulled the trick of dying. Only you would say that, man.
Well, he did. Everything was rocking along. All of a sudden, he said, "I'll show Kilroy a trick. I'll just die." And he died on me. No, I was recording Marty, producing him at those latter stages, and he came by the studio at Fireside and said, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you that I'm going in the hospital." He had open heart surgery years before, and he had chronic heart problems, and he said they have to redo the surgery every 10 years. And I said, okay, well, when can I come to the hospital and see you? He said, just give me a couple of days, drop up, Marty he's always up and always smiling. And so a couple of days went by, and he comes back to the studio. And I said, I thought you were in the hospital. He said, no, the doctor said that they could fix this problem with medicine. I said, well, then it's good.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he dead. He fell dead, just fell over.
Yeah.
And I often wondered if they'd done the surgery, if we'd still have the great Marty Robbins with us. Because in producing Marty, he may be the one that, when he opened his mouth, he was like perfect. I mean, no, let's do it again, Marty. He just sang it.
You bet.
Hey, I think the people that are interested, they hear a record on the radio or online. Most of them are online listening now. What do you, I don't know, what pops up in your mind of some of the favorite artists that you recorded? You worked on the sessions. And I know there's too many to count, and you'll miss some and you won't remember them all, but you will remember some.
Yeah, well, I remember, doing all them records with George Jones and Ray Charles. And one of my favorite ones to do his records was Gary Stewart, which I played on like 95% of his records.
And one of those was mine.
Yeah, and you produced him too.
Yeah, and that was, hey, getting off track a little bit, okay? That's a funny story. To me it is. I called you. You had just injured your right hand, yeah, because you were left-handed. And am I right saying your right hand was injured?
I was off.
Right hand?
Ain't mine.
They asked me that again.
Okay. When you had the injury to your hand, it was on your right hand, okay?
Yeah.
Correct? All right, and I called you for a date, and you said, Kilroy, I can't play yet, what you used to, but my hand's still healing. Because you almost lost your fingers, I think.
I just pulled it so hard, stretched it out, it broke the bone in the end, and the tendon snapped off of it and rolled up in the palm of my hand. I had to get that put back together.
Oh my God, it was terrible. Are you close to your phone?
Yeah.
Okay,
right,
cool, you're good. Yeah, I remember calling you, so I don't know if I could play, Kilroy. I said, well, how many fingers can you move? And you said, 1 or 2. I said, well, you can play more with those 1 or 2 than most people play with 4 or 5. So, so come on, and you did, and you make some bar cards, and it sounded good. It added to it. Oh, who I remember being on that session with us was Jimmy. Oh my gosh, we just lost him about last year. Caps.
Jimmy Caps. Yes, sir.
He was on that same date with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on one guitar, you were on the other. And who are some of the acts besides that? We got off base a little bit.
Who was some of the what?
Some of the artists that you recorded with. Besides
all right. Well, I mentioned Gary Stewart.
Sure.
John Conley.
Yeah.
I did all that stuff, Backside of 30, which, in my opinion, and I've been told that's an iconic lick, and it was just as simple as first grade arithmetic, but it fit the song.
Yeah.
There's guitar players that I know or did know that worked down there. They'd tell me that they would play that lick just to warm up and get their bends.
Really? I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. One personal question. You don't have to answer it, okay? When you were working with John Conley, and you take a break, okay? Everybody gets some coffee. He didn't try to embalm you, did he?
No, but he could probably do a job on it now because I'm close to that.
That's funny. I don't know if the folks know that he was an ex-mortician. Undertaker. Yeah, that's what he was. Well, you played on some great records by some great artists. There's so many. And another question I want to ask. People in Nashville here don't really know how we worked in Nashville, especially staying within the union rules, American Federation of Musicians. We had sessions, certain times, 3-hour sessions and what have you.
Yeah.
And there was a thing where, I don't know, people would show up late sometimes and just get problems. That was never you at all.
No, I was always ahead of time.
I know. You were getting your sounds up while everybody else was getting out of the car.
Yeah, but I was glad to be there.
I know, and I was glad, and everybody else was glad you were there too. What I was going to ask you, and it just almost slipped my mind, but it's coming back. Come back, mind, where are you? No, it's when you worked under such regiment, knowing that you had this date, every day in the studio, working for different producers. That's when you were living in Nashville. And it changed 3 or 4 times a day because you were working maybe 3 or 4 different producers that day. How did you make the transition from a session player of first call for top of the list, session player in Nashville, to working in Las Vegas for Wayne Newton? Was that hard?
Well, here's and you know, I'm lucky in that respect, and have been told that by several people, you know, notoriety producers, songwriters, stuff, that you got out just in time because things was kind of collapsing, Eddie. You know, like Billy Sherrill, he's going to retire. He lasted a few more years because every time I get a break in Las Vegas, if I had a couple of weeks off, I would let them know, and they say, "Hey, we're doing George Jones, do an album with him or somebody." And so when I'd go back to Nashville, I'd have work, you know, do for them. And
well, I just wondered how you made the transition into playing one night at the same place. You know, for Wayne Newton, I know that he paid you well, but I also know that you were way up in the 6 figures as a session player in Nashville.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, you know, people don't know that session players in Nashville, like yourself, can make $200,000 or $300,000 a year and sleep in their own bed at night. They don't have to go on the road. And and maybe more, you know, depending on how many sessions they work. But
well, they some of them may be doing that now, but back then, man, if you made like $80,000 or $90,000 a year, you was doing good.
Yeah, that's true. Scale may be up now, but I don't even know if I went in the studio to cut a record today. I have not a clue what to do or what song to play. I don't recognize them all. Like I've said, I was interested in listening to Lucas Nelson because, as you know, Willie and I've been friends since 1961 or 1962.
Oh, yeah.
One of the two, 61, 62. God, I'm dating myself. That's all. Of course, Willie, to say that I knew him in 61 so as not to date myself, Willie helped me learn to walk. I was just a toddler.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he would hold my hand and walk me across Broadway. And
he did a good job because you could cover 10 yards every step, man.
Not now. I slowed down a little bit, Dale. No, you were, I never will forget of course, I was used to, being honest with you, playing electric guitar and playing some funky stuff, which I loved, funky stuff on our records, you know.
Yeah.
And I heard this beautiful intro on a Ray Charles record, 7 Spanish Angels. I said, God, I didn't dream that it was you playing that intro. It didn't dawn on me because I was not used to you playing that type of guitar, not realizing that you play anything. But
that's what I was talking about. You're kind of like any other podcast we did. We was like chameleon lizards, man. We could adapt to anything, you know.
And I've told people that.
We could change colors, you know, to fit in.
I told people that the players in Nashville are so advanced and so broad spectrum that if you want a thrash record, go to Nashville. If you want a rock record, go to Nashville. If you want a country record, I mean, the players up there can play anything.
Yeah.
You just call it.
Well, you know, a lot of the music that a lot of us, especially me, listened to was rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the blues.
And blues and stuff like that.
Right.
But to go back to your story about the transition from studio to working for Wayne Newton.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was easy. You know, you just playing and all that stuff. Because I remember one day he had 2 guitar players other than me at one time, but then it wound up it was just me because I was painting with a wide paintbrush. I was covering it all, and this guitar player he said, I don't know if Wayne's going to like all that stuff you dishing out over there playing. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you know? He ain't never heard it, not from you guys.
That's a good line.
So it wasn't 10 to 20 minutes later, Wayne walked over to me. He said, Dale, you play all that kind of stuff you want to.
He liked it as much as I did, apparently.
Yeah.
You said earlier that he was really a nice guy. I never met him.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
I remember hearing his first record, Dankeschön.
Yeah,
I thought it was, I never could say it anyway, Dankeschön. How do you say that, Dankeschön?
Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.
German.
Okay.
It's German.
Well, I knew it wasn't French, but I wasn't quite. But I thought it was a girl singing. I mean, he was singing high.
Oh yeah, he had a high voice, man. He still even had a pretty high voice.
Really?
When
how old do you think he is now?
how old is Wayne? He's in his mid-80s at least. You know?
And he's still hanging in there.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, his voice had started going on back when I was with him.
Yeah.
Man, when you sang 5 to 6 nights a week all your life, something's going to break.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, your vocal cords are only a muscle anyway, and you can wear it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, now
he was good to work for and a lot of fun, man.
Well, I didn't know that you were making trips to Nashville. I would have called you on some dates.
Well, when I get some open time, I'd call Billy Sanford because Billy was the leader on all the girls' records, and I say, Billy, I'm gonna be off for a couple of weeks, and then he'd call me back. He said, "You come on, we're gonna do George Jones next week or something like that." I said, "Okay, that'll suit me."
What stands out in your mind is one of the highlights of any session you ever did? Is there one particular thing, or you've got a dozen?
I don't know. It was all good, Eddie. I mean, people will tell me, said, "Boy, you was lucky to do all that." I said, "No, I wasn't lucky. I was blessed."
Blessed and good.
Yeah, no.
And the blessing came to you from being good.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just everybody like B.J. Thomas. That cat, man, he had golden. Vocal cords.
Boy, could he sing!
God, what a singer!
Yeah. He had a band in Houston. I can't remember what the name of it was. Golly, it was a rock and roll band. And then he put his voice on. What was that first record he had that was so big? Gosh, dog it!
Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
No. It's before that.
Well, he did a Hank Williams song. I could cry. That's the first time I was ever familiar with
that track. That track was cut at a studio in Houston that Mickey Gilley owned a part of, and he was working. Then SEPTA Records bought the master after it was already out, but that was an overdub on a track that was already cut.
There's been a lot of that kind of stuff.
I'm sure there has. Sure, we were talking about perhaps the Jeannie Seeley thing that Freddie Fender put his voice on. That works a lot. Same thing with
it was Jeannie C. Riley.
Yeah, Jeannie C. Riley. The same thing happened to G.G. Shepard. The first record he had, and I can't remember, was Trying to Beat the Morning Home or Devil in the Bottle, one of the two. Somebody in Memphis had recorded that and couldn't sing it, so he dropped by the studio and said, "Hey, I can put my voice on it." So, and he was working for Elvis at the time, assigned to Elvis by RCA as Elvis's personal promotion man. So Elvis said, you can't put that out and work for the company too. He's working for RCA. So change your name. And I've told this story before. Elvis called him the Good Shepherd because he took care of his records. And, from what I understood one time, and you're probably right too, they called the T.G. Shepherd. There was a dog next door in a pen or something, was a German Shepherd. That German Shepherd, T.G. Shepherd. So that's kind of Bobby Emmons was telling me that, the keyboard player from Memphis. Right, sure.
He's gone now, but he played on a lot of that stuff with him.
Well, T.G. has a different story every time. I was laughing about it the other day. Liz and I went to see him about oh gosh, last year somewhere. He was working somewhere around in Oklahoma City. I went to see him, and he told a different story. And I told Liz,
you know how stories go.
I know.
The more they're spun, the more knots they get in, you know.
I know for a fact. But the early story that I heard was he had to change the name because he was drawing money from RCA to promote Elvis's records. He didn't want to get in trouble with them, lose his job. He had to change his name, and Elvis had called him the Good Shepherd of his records. So he just said, well, T.G. Shepherd will do. And
that's probably more the truth to that coming from him.
Right. Elvis gave him his bus. Elvis bought a bus one time, made one trip on it, hated the bus, and said, you can have it. I don't know whether he called him T.G. or Bill. His real name, Bill.
He had a weird name.
Bill Boyd. No, that's another friend of mine. Anyway, we don't care about his name. He's a good guy. But it's a fun thing to look back on some of the times we had. And also talking about playing, usually a producer uses the same studio all the time. You get kind of married to the sound, and you're comfortable in that studio. And I was comfortable in RCA B, which is now a museum. Good God, can you believe that the records we cut in that thing is at a museum now?
Oh, yeah. And we did a lot of stuff in Studio A.
A lot in A. I don't know if A's still open or not, but B is in Nashville, and tourists go by there. And I stopped by there about 10 years ago. I was in Nashville. And I was just going to look around and see what changed. And they wanted to charge me to get in. And I said, I built part of this place, and you want to charge me to be in? Good God, I cut a lot of hits there. All those Gilly hits were cut there.
Oh, that's where you did all the good stuff.
Sure, and they're going to charge me to get in that place? I said, no, I know what it looks like, unless y'all messed it up.
Well, that area over there in Music Row is not Nashville anymore.
I have not been there.
Hotel condos over there, and you can really stick in.
And so much history they tore down.
Oh, didn't they?
Man,
I think Briggs was one of the last holdouts.
May have been.
He turned down some big money for his place.
Oh, I know exactly.
He wouldn't sell it, but David, he's gone now.
Yep. I know his place. I've been there many times, and great guy, great player, a great arranger. Just a super. He was telling me a story when he recorded. Rob, help me with this. It wasn't Bob Seger. One of those acts like that. Who was it? In that same era.
Bob Seger.
It wasn't Bob Seger. It was. Anyway, he would want to be right over the piano by the keyboard when he put his vocals on as they were doing the sessions.
Yeah.
And gosh, I wish I could remember his name, but he's a rock and roller that was famous. Okay. And had a real hoarse, husky voice. And Briggs said, God, I'm recording him next week. I hate doing that. And I said, why? He said, because he wants to lean over and face me when he's singing, and he spits when he sings.
Oh, man. I don't know who that was. I never encountered him.
I think I would have put something plastic between there or something. But anyway, great plexiglass, great stories coming out of all the records we cut, and all the fun we had. And Gary Stewart's gone.
There's a book out now called "I'm from the Honky Tonk."
No.
Man, and you can get it paperback, hardback. Well, let me kind of tell you a story on it.
Okay.
It was written by a guy. I hope I get his last name pronounced right. Jim McDonough.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a G and a H on the end of something is an F, right?
I guess. I don't know what card that is.
Okay, so anyway, here a few years ago, Jimmy had spent, I think, 37 years writing this book on Gary Stewart, because there's a lot of stuff to cover there, because Gary could go every which way.
Yeah,
for sure. He could scatter like a dang covey of quails.
I know.
Anyway, Jimmy called me up, introduced himself on the phone, And we did like 2 phone sessions of over an hour apiece. Talk, he's asking me about this and all that, about these records and things of that nature. Well, he's wrote this book, and it's a big selling book.
And it's called what? One more time.
It's Gary Stewart. I'm from the honky tonk.
Good. I got to get that. Remember that, folks out there. Gary Stewart. I'm from the honky tonk. If Dale Seller says it's a good book, it's a good book.
Yeah. Well, I don't have it. I got to get it, but Jimmy called me back later on, and he was telling me. He said, "Man, you're a big part of this book." And a friend of mine bought it, and he told me. He said, "Man, you got a lot of good stuff about you in there." So I said, "Well, that's great." But what happens is some turkey used AI, which in my opinion is an evil deal. It can be good, but it's also bad.
I feel the same way.
They stole Jimmy's book and
really
put their name on it as they wrote it and changed the picture.
Come here. Really?
Yeah, sure did. I read this last week. It was on Facebook. It was an interview where he had Gary's daughter and 2 or 3 more people there. There's one guy does a podcast. I forgot what his name is, but he had him and what's that guy? I think Jimmy Melton was a guitar player with Gary. He come from down in Florida. But I'd run across him a few times, and some other guy that was hung out with Gary and worked for him, and they had some good stories on him. He was, and they didn't hide anything, about his addictions to taking drugs and Quaaludes and all that stuff. And his daughter was saying, one day, her and one of her friends was sitting out front, and they rode him out on a gurney. He'd OD'd on something, and she said, "Well, I'm used to this."
You said he would do anything. He was such a talented guy, writer, and of course, a distinct singing style. But he wrote for Jerry Bradley's publishing company.
Oh, that's where I first met him.
And Jerry had him signed to RCA. That's when I produced him. And he did something, and Bradley said, I'm going to have to drop you from the label. And Stewart said, "Well, that's all right. I'll just go back to Florida and drive that dump truck."
Yeah.
He did not care. So
yeah, well, he was into the Allman Brothers. He loved them.
Yeah.
And he kind of took a hiatus out of the music business there for a while, and went to work for them playing slide guitar.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very, very talented guy.
Oh, yeah, he was. But
well, brother, you have so many stories to tell. And, the sessions you've played, the artists you've worked with, and I treasure our friendship and all of the artists that we've done together. And
same here.
Wow, man, we had some big records. And, I went up and did Gilly's memorial 3 years ago, I guess, when Mickey died. And gosh, it just seems like everybody's going, but we're going to stay in there. We're going to eat healthy.
Yeah, well, eat healthy. I try to take care of myself. I've got a few physical problems. My back, spinal stenosis and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I manage. I'm still playing every darn weekend somewhere.
Good.
Once or twice a week. I can't tote them boogie amps no more. I don't use but one of them now. But the other day, there's a girl named Jessica Thielen who comes around. She's a friend of this guy we know. And I was talking to her the other day after I'm out there, and Chad Whitty, that plays banjo with me and Tim, there's only 3 of us. And he kind of moves my equipment around. And I went to my truck, and I looked back, and out that door come that girl, Jessie, toting a boogie amp in one hand and a darn 30 or 40 pound pedal case in the other, and I thought, man, I'm gonna have to start being nice to her.
I don't want to fight her.
Pick on her, she gonna beat the heck out of me.
I know. Some of them you see that, wow.
And she's I was talking to her the other day. I said, "What do you do for a living, Jess?" She said, "I drive a bulldozer."
Yeah, tough old gal, you know what? But she's handy to have, I think you ought to buy her a beer every time she comes in, just so she'll carry your amps, But I want to tell you, we'll wrap up our conversation, but it's always a pleasure. That's why sometimes, excuse me, during the week I may just give you a jingle just to say hi and see how you're doing. And I try to keep track of my dear friends that are aging somewhat. I talk to Harold Shedd as often as I can. Harold's 94 now. And it's hard to imagine. And still, he was up, I guess he's still driving. He was week before last when I talked to him. He got his driver's license renewed. He lives 10 miles from the Tennessee line over in Georgia, North Georgia. And his driver's license was getting ready to expire, Tennessee driver's license. So he just drove across there to renew it. And they renewed it for 6 years. So he said, guess what, Kilroy? I've got a driver's license up until I'm 100 years old.
Yeah.
I hope you're still driving then, son.
Yeah, I do too, man. Yeah, I used to work for him some, and one of the main albums I remember that I played on that he produced was Connie Francis.
Oh yeah.
And one of the songs that's on YouTube is called "Don't Tell Me Not to Cry." It's a nice piece. Briggs was playing piano on it.
Oh, Briggs was super. I mean, the bands there were so great. A band saying all made up of session players. It's just like different ones. I use the same ones every time if I possibly could. And it sounded like a band because they played together all the time. And every time, somebody told me one time, I took it as a compliment. They said, as soon as I hear a Playboy record, or as soon as I hear a record on the radio, I recognize it as a Playboy record because of the sound of the musicians. And I said that comes from the fact they use the same ones all the time.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
And if there was something a little teeny bit loose on it, I let it ride. It sound like a band because if you go to a club, it ain't going to be perfect.
No.
So I wanted it to sound like a band, and it did. A mighty good band. An expensive band, too.
Oh, yeah.
When I was running Playboy, sometimes my sessions looked like the national debt. And,
I can imagine.
Yeah. But they didn't care. Well, Dale, I love you, my brother, and I wish I could see you. And I may get to Pennsylvania and see you.
Pennsylvania? No, I live in Wisconsin.
That's close enough. The guy that brought me to Oklahoma is from Wisconsin. And so I'll catch a ride on his jet up there when he's going to see his kinfolks and see you.
Come on up here. I got a place. I got a room you can take over, man.
All right, brother. Love you. Yeah. Thanks for being on our podcast again today. Okay. We got in a little more time, a little more visiting this time, and that's what I wanted to do. All right.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
You say, Dale, stay blessed in the Lord and take care of yourself.
All right, you do the same, Eddie.
All right, love you, brother. Bye-bye.
And take care of that girl you got there.
Oh, God knows I'll take care of her. What would I do without her? She gives me a bowl of medicine and vitamins that look like Fruit Loops every morning.
Well, as long as she don't put no decon in them,
She's not going to put decon. She'll use a heavier poison than that. All right, rascal. Love you, Dale.
All right, brother.
Take care, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The great Dale Sellers. Wow. I would not take $1 million for the memories I have of him, of the sessions we did together. And they were hits, too. Big, big records. Mickey Gilley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Louis Vandrell, goes on, Marty Robbins, it goes on and on. So we're going to say goodbye now, but not before I talk about our sponsor. I'm talking about Total Beads. Boy, what a deal that is. The feed they make is incredible. I told you before, we were introduced to it, 15, 16 years ago when it was new, by Dr. Harry Anderson. It was Total Equine at that time. and it still is, by the way. And we started our horses on it, and boy, they started doing so great. And it became bigger and bigger in the horse world. So Dr. Anderson started something else. He went into some other areas of livestock to make successful feed for them, like Total Coat, and of course Total Equine still there, Total Bull or Total Bovine. Those bulls that you see on the PBR and the PRCA rodeos, some of those bulls are on Total Bull. And that's why you see those big muscles on them and why they're hard to ride. Some of those aren't getting ridden. Some of them have been out 20 or 30 times and had made the whistle yet on them. Total Goat, I mentioned that. Total Pig, we don't want to say pig. What are we hitting? Well, Total Pig, Total Hog. No, Total Feed. Go to their website. They'll tell you more than I can tell you. TotalFeed.com. Kilroy saying, I love you. See you the next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music. If you have any thoughts or questions about the content, email them. Kilroy Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. That's Kilroy, no S, Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. And don't forget to subscribe. Third-party use of any part of this podcast without the expressed consent of Eddie Kilroy is prohibited. The Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music podcast is a production of Eddie Kilroy.